TV.
Hello, I'm Fulton County Commissioner William Bill Edwards. Welcome to the South Fulton Good Things Show. Our guests today are students from the Science, Engineering, Technology, Mathematics Academy Club at Creekside High School, Whitney Minor and Xavier Herbert. Joining them is their co-sponsor, Mr. Douglas Edwards. We're excited to have you all as our guests today. And you, Mr. Edwards, thank you for bringing everybody out.
Thank you for having
This show is going to be exciting because it gives us an opportunity to showcase our children, to talk about the good things that are happening in our schools. If Fulton County School Board won't do it, Bill Edwards will. Let's talk a little bit about this thing called STEM. Tell the audience about STEM and how long it's been in progress.
Okay. STEM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, Mathematics, and STEM as an acronym has been around for about 5 to 7 years. It's coined by the National Science Foundation as a way to focus not only high schools but colleges and industry in terms of building toward what they call the STEM pipeline, so that we increase our innovation in technology, in science, which builds industry.
Mm-hmm. And what are some of the STEM projects, what are you focusing on at the school in particular at Creekside?
Mm-hmm. At Creekside in particular, we're doing 3 projects. One is a go-kart that we're going to power by biofuel. So we're going to take the waste vegetable oil out of the cafeteria, so think of it like Crisco.
Yes.
And turning it into fuel for a go-kart, and that the students will race that go-kart.
That means I got to pay more for Crisco.
Well, that means that your fuel will be free now.
I got you.
Okay. The second project we're doing is a touring robot. So it's a life-size robot that will give tours to the school. And we brought a small model of that today. And our third project is a project with Tanzania. They have problems with their power there. And so in terms of a community center that does computer classes, we're going to provide solar power for that computer center.
Well, let me ask you, is Creekside the only school with an academy of this type?
There are other schools that are doing academies. I think our projects are much more real world than most schools have in progress.
Looking at when you say real world, what do you mean?
Well, as you realize, the solar power project for Tanzania is a real project.
Yes.
It will actually be shipped to Tanzania. They will actually install it. They will actually use it. The biofuel go-kart is actually a real project in terms of converting to biofuels, because later on our goal is to actually convert a diesel car to biofuel.
Wonderful. How has the parents embraced this whole concept of STEM?
Oh, they love it. They really love it. They provide the support in terms of resource, in terms of getting students to us, getting our students involved. So they just think it's wonderful.
Well, let's talk about these wonderful students you have here today. Have you seen an increase in their growth and development since being a part of the STEM program?
Oh, definitely. They've developed in terms of understanding skills and how you apply math, science, physics, all of it to the real world. So you solve real world problems, so that it's not, we've taken what's in the curriculum and we've made it totally real.
Yeah.
As well as fun, because who doesn't want to drive a go-kart? So those are the things we've done. They've also developed their project management skills, because for the students we have here today are project coordinators of 2 of the groups that we just talked about. So they actually manage and coordinate the other students in this work.
Well, when I was small, I had a go-kart too, but one time I know biofuel. It was my friend pushing me from behind. Let's talk about, you're supervising one of the students who is converting a gas to go-kart. You talked about that, by the use of biofuel. Who's doing that?
Well, Josue Alvarado is our
Right, he couldn't be with us
coordinator.
today, yeah. Tell us about how he's doing this and what he's accomplishing.
Okay. One of his teachers actually did research this summer on how to convert sawdust and apples in terms of waste into fuel. So they at this point, they're learning that in terms of a small model. And we're also working with Tri-Cities High School because they actually did it last year and are actually converting the vegetable oil from their cafeteria into biofuel. So we're actually going to end up racing them, and they're going to provide the fuel for both schools. But we're video teleconferencing between the two schools so that we're going to teach them about how to put on the engine for the go-kart, and they're going to teach us how to convert the biofuel.
Well, that's great that you're pulling the two schools together to do something like that. And friendly competition is always great, especially among our children, academically, as opposed to always being athletically. And you're probably, with the two of you working together, you're probably raising the bar on this project. Whitney Minor.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. My Spelman College woman. You're designing a lifestyle touring robot, right?
Yes.
Tell us about it.
Well, our school decided that we wanted to have a robot tour visitors that weren't familiar with Creekside so that they can know the ins and outs of Creekside and get some information about it on the tour. So we started with this small model here, a little bit of practice, called a Rovio, and it has a camera on the top so it can navigate where it's going, and it has wheels and moving around. It can move around. So this is a small version of what we really want to build, and we've already started working on. It's got a TV on it, or it's going to have a TV on it, as well as a base, and it's going to have this guy right here on it. And this is called a Bioloid, and he's pretty much the brains of the tour bot. It'll be able to interface with the visitors and be able to point in the direction where the robot is going. So what we've started on is we've practiced with this, but so far we're working on the base of our bigger scale model, and we're working on programming it still, but it's not a complete project. It's in the works, and we hope that the parents and the visitors will really enjoy it.
You telling me. How big is this thing going to be when you finish with it?
It's pretty tall because the TV is connected with a pole. So the TV's on top and the base is at the bottom. So I'd say about
This is the robot part?
The whole thing is going to be about this tall from the floor up.
Now you actually going to design and build this?
We've already designed it.
Oh, you've already designed it?
Yes.
They're starting to build. Yeah.
Now who actually gets involved with the construction of
The students, they collaborate and they decide what will work and what won't work and what they think will work best. So one of the problems we knew we wanted to have the TV on it.
Yeah.
But then we were like, okay, how are we going to power it? And we decided that we're going to have batteries in the base of the robot and add a socket to it so that we can plug in the TV so that the TV can show the video camera of where they're going and also give a description of each place they go. Like if they go to the main office, they'll talk about how you can check in and how the administrators and attendants and secretaries in there, and then they can talk about the gym and talk about the basketball games that go on there, or maybe go in the cafeteria and talk about the food that's served there, stuff like that.
We need to make 7 of those. We'll make commissioners out of them. We're going to take a break, and when we return, we'll continue our conversation. Welcome back to the South Fulton Good Things Show. For those of you who have just tuned in, we have as our guest today students from Creekside High School STEM Academy, Science, Engineering, Technology, and Mathematics, Whitney Minor, Xavier Hubert, and their sponsor, Mr. Doug Edwards. And this little guy here, I don't know what we'll call him, but they're building a lifestyle of this. This has been great. Before we get into our next question, tell me a little bit, you're going to reproduce this guy. Who's going to pay for it?
Well, the payment for the Bioloid robot that you have there and most of the robotics, we're working with Georgia Tech, and they provided resources in terms of funding as well as people to assist. We've had teachers who did summer research and students who do summer research there to work on these projects and learn so that they can bring it back to the classroom and then actually as well as put it up on websites so that other teachers can use it.
We have been sharing some vital information regarding this very unique project. Xavier Hubert is designing a solar-powered generator for use in Tanzania. Xavier, tell us about it.
Well, in Arusha, Tanzania, they have rolling blackouts there. They don't have electricity or power for upwards of 6 hours or so. And the UAACC, United African Alliance Community Center, uses computers and laptops for education to get knowledge and everything. So this is a miniature version of the solar panel we're going to be using. We're using 6 of them to get 250 watts of power. And we're going to ship them there, and we're going to power it. And the power from the sun is actually DC, which is in batteries.
Yes.
But actually the electricity in the walls and in laptops and everything is actually AC. So we're going to use this in conjunction with this inverter to change it from DC to AC so that it'll be able to be used in the community center.
That's wonderful. Mr. Edwards, now, how do we get this over there? And who's functioning?
Well, we are actually in talks right now with MedShare, which is an organization in the Atlanta area that ships medical supplies all over the world. And our goal is to have the students go over to MedShare and volunteer and assist in terms of packing containers. And as a part of that, we will then have our unit, which is approximately 4 cubic feet, in one of the containers that go to Tanzania. And then the people from the UAACC will actually pick it up from that container.
That's wonderful. What is the next step? I mean, this guy's already here. What are you going to do next?
Well, for that guy, next year we're gonna program it to dance, and it'll be able to pick up the frequency depending on what type of music. So if you hear maybe Lil Wayne, it might start doing some hip hop dancing, or if it hears jazz, it'll maybe do a swing or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's what we're working on next year. But for this year, it'll just be able to point the direction of where the tour bots are going.
Let me ask you this, Ms. Edwards. Talk to us about that. You talked about some people who are helping you. Mm-hmm. Are there other people who are partnering with you that you might want to make mention of today?
Certainly. We actually received a grant from the McCarthy Dressman Education Enrichment Foundation. Mm-hmm. That grant was focused mainly on the Tanzania project, and it has provided us with the resources to go ahead and purchase the materials, some of which you see right here, so that we can go ahead and build a solar power generator. And our hope is to get the follow-on grant for next year, and in addition to that, receive enough monies to actually make solar panels that we will ship next year to provide lighting for the village. And in terms of Georgia Tech, we're working with, there are actually 3 parts of Georgia Tech we're working with. One is called Seismic, which works with K-12 outreach. Another is called CEDAL, which stands for Center for Education, Teaching, and Learning. And they provide us with the Georgia Tech graduate students who come assist us. And then there's the Georgia Tech Research Institute, who is also working with us.
Well, this has been wonderful. And Xavier and Whitney, you're wonderful students doing a wonderful thing, not only in your community, but in the world.